Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are looking at a drag show that was made for babies. This is being presented by Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire. We're going to check it out and see what this is about and give our commentary somewhere probably in the middle. All right, let's get into it.
Is a tragic thing for them. Business Insider just published an interview with local drag queen Bella Dubal, and this is the same man who, as we heard last week, gave a speech at a recent drag event threatening violence and riots if the ban on child sexualization is passed. He insinuated that if he's not able to sexually perform in front of a child, then he might start smashing people with bricks. That's how important it is to him that he's able to do this.
That won't last long.
Passed, even though he was the one threatening violence, he now says that he fears for his life. Here's the Insider report. In an interview with Insider, Dubal called the bill terrifying and said she's personally afraid for her own safety. Notice the female pronouns, by the way, that we're using for drag queens, who don't even say that they identify as women, but are putting on a character, and so they're referring to the character as if the character exists in real life in the article. It's like if there was an interview with Joaquin Phoenix and the interviewer referred to him as the Joker in the article. The bill specifies that a second offense would be considered a Class C felony, which carries a jail sentence of up to 6 years. Quote, I could go to prison for 6 years for appearing in a public pride parade, Dubal said. I'm scared that if I'm wearing gender nonconforming clothing in Kroger and someone has their kids and they clutch them tight and call the cops, I could get arrested just for presenting that way in my daily life. Quote.
So obviously he was not understanding the difference between dressing like a fool in public and then performing sexual presentation.
What he's trying to do is steal the position of victimhood from the child,
right,
and give it to himself. That's all he's doing.
So then this came out later on, where so that guy was originally here, and then later on there was this report that came out.
They're only becoming more brazen about it. Case in point, footage has gone viral this week of a show called Cabba Baba Rave. Now, this is as you might pick up from the name, a cabaret rave that is meant for babies. Yes, babies. It is a touring show that goes from place to place, performing sexual cabaret for babies and toddlers. Here's an article.
All right.
So what happens when these guys adopt? They're going to take their babies, right, to those shows, or maybe have it in their living room, and you talk about adoption, about problems with child abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You go get a dog. Try to go to the Pound or the Humane Society, whatever they're calling it now, and try to get a dog. Try to save a dog, right, who's in that cage. And they're going to come out and investigate your house. They're going to see what other dogs you have and if they're friendly, or a cat, or if you've got a fenced yard. They're going to check all that stuff. But they'll let the weirdos like these guys adopt kids and then take them to stuff like that and live that lifestyle. It's absolutely insane.
Yep. It's you can't get any more Sodom than that.
Well, it's awful. It's just awful. And the damage that they're doing. And how do you repair that damage? How do you repair that when that child grows up? And it's lifelong. I mean, we have, watch Dr. Phil if you can bear, and you hear everybody whining about everything in the world, how they were raised and stuff. And then what do? The tolerant crowd, we allow these people to even adopt kids. That's absolutely insane. If you can't, if you can't even identify what sex you are, if you're a perverse in your behavior, you shouldn't be adopting kids. It's plain and simple. It's not to their benefit. It's because they're adopting them not for that child's benefit, but for theirs. And also then they can draft more weirdos, if you will, to be like them. And so they can fill the society with bigger numbers, because their numbers aren't all that big.
Well, they're getting there. They're getting significantly larger now.
Well, thank you to our public education and our colleges and the movie industry. They're really helping with it.
Yep. I mean, I would say the number one contributor is the public Public education, not even the
Yep.
universities at this point. At this
Yeah.
point, it's your
They're going.
elementaries, middle schools, and high schools that
Yeah.
are promoting, teaching, and then bending their minds elementary early. So that way they are easily influenced into these groups. And then, we use that with some groupthink, classic
Like Nazi
psychology,
youth.
like Nazi youth. Except that now that this particular group is creating a situation in which they will destroy their own bodies, will not be able to reproduce. So they are a one mission machine, and it's for the group, and then their life is done. Like, that's it. It ends there, right? Because once they get on these hormone blockers and once they do all their genital mutilation, you don't come back from that. So these kids are starting, at 7, 8, 9 years old on puberty blockers, even earlier in some cases. And by, 12, 13, 14, they're already going through surgery. They're not going to have kids of their own. So that's done. So they're becoming essentially drones, a weaponized drone against society at large. They can't have kids. So that'll serve the leftist purpose of depopulation. But then all they have to live for is the group. The group is the bigger group. That is their large community identity, their LGBTQ, and whatever it falls under. So the propagandist wing of the LGBTQ gets funded by major leftist corporations and gets funded by major politicians to push propaganda that ultimately all works in favor of them. But it's them to an end, right? So technically, yeah, the people that are not insane will outbreed them. But if they're allowed to adopt, there's always adoptions. And now you're getting into a situation where you're bringing into account you're allowing these people that mutilate themselves to then adopt. Like, there should be a law that says that if you do genital mutilation on yourself, meaning you go and get surgeries, and you should not be able to have kids. Period. The end.
I got to tell you, the stuff that goes, it's all physical and it's all sexual. The whole movement, the whole homosexual movement is lust, if you will. And
for the lower masses, for the upper echelon, they're using it as a control mechanism against the larger population.
Sure, but the ones who are actually practicing, it's lust.
Right.
And then it misplaces morality. And and as you said, it really undermines our society, and we, afraid to be called a name or want to be tolerant, even at the pulpits, they want to be so tolerant, right? Oh, don't judge, and all that crap, which is a lie, because the scripture calls us to judge. We don't get to say who's going to heaven or hell, but we can judge sinful behavior. And if we can't judge good behavior or bad behavior, if we can't tell the difference, what kind of shape are we in? I mean, how do you make any judgments at all on anything? I mean, if you can't understand that there's a red light and a green light and a yellow light at a stop, and you just go, oh, well, it's all the same, it's all good, I just can be tolerant because I like all the colors, and you drive out there, or somebody else drives out there through it, and you plow into each other, and somebody gets killed. Why? Because you're so stupid you can't recognize that there are distinct differences, even in the color of the light. That there are things that you should and should not do. And I got to tell you, I've seen it in my lifetime. And there's always been a morality. I mean, Greece was big, Rome was really big, and a lot of them were really big in all kinds of perverse behavior. Israel got involved with it, and of course they'd get run out of Israel by the father for doing it. But we have got to stand for what we believe as strongly as they do.
Right.
And if we're afraid to voice our opinion because somebody's going to call us a name, which is one of the reasons I'll go on to Tom McDonald, I love him, is because he's not afraid to make a stand on his position.
Right.
And he takes it head on. And we all need to do that, is take it head on. Right's right, wrong's wrong. And I don't hate you for it. unless you're trying to kill me or hurt my family or my friends or some stranger even by that behavior, then you're gonna have a problem with me. But if what you do, I mean, if you want to be a weirdo and you go to your house with your weirdo friend and you want to do weirdo stuff in your house, but you don't get to adopt kids and take them into that and take them into weirdo land, and you don't get to make a parade of it down the street just because. I mean, well, it's the Nazis. If the Nazis say hate the Jews, right, or hate whoever it is they hate, pretty much everybody is so if they want it, what do they want to do? They want to bring a little gas chamber display and roll it down the street of San Francisco or New York, right, and have their little Nazi parade, and then they can fake like they're killing people. I mean, why? They're not entitled to their opinion? No, that opinion sucks. That is not. That is an absolute no. And I got to tell you, the same thing with what they're practicing. It's an absolute no. And the more we tolerate it, and the further down we're going to slide down that slope because they're going to keep pushing.
Yep.
They're after
100%.
something, and we just want peace. And but what we do is we sacrifice our security for peace.
Yeah.
And I think one of our founding fathers said, if you sacrifice your security for your freedom for your peace, right, and your security, you deserve neither, and that's where we're at.
Well, security and liberty can't coexist. That's you exchange one for the other.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
It is one side of the equal sign, the other one's on the other. You got to chip away at one to give more to the other. If you want more liberty, you will remove security. You'll remove some of your security. If you want more security, you're going to chip away liberty. Every time.
Yeah, well, every law they pass, for the most part, chips away at our liberty.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's the way it is. And but what they want to do is they want to dish out some freedoms to others,
right?
And take it away from somebody else. And that's our whole reverse discrimination thing, if you will. Is instead of just being fair and righteous and moral,
right?
If you will.
All right, guys. If you like this one, comment down below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.